Welcome to your final presentation in Week 6 of GA103 and the conclusion of our discussion on the finer points of layout.
Here we see a symmetrical and centered layout. Now we see an asymmetrical layout. Both work and serve different purposes. Sometimes we need to layer the hierarchy. Subheads are a good place to start to use italic text. If you have a multiple page layout, consider repeating elements to create unity. Typically in magazines, the photo or illustration dominates the page. We never want to divide a page in half. Using a dividing line where the 1/3 and 2/3 proportions of the page are a very decisive place to divide a layout. If you divide a layout in half, consider also dividing it into quarters to create visual. Here we see a layout divided into quarters. In this layout, each element carries the same visual weight. Here is a design idea. Asymmetrical margins add interest to a layout. We want our layouts to follow the law of gravity and not fight it. This layout follows the law of gravity. Another design idea. Consider type as an image. Here is another example of using type as image. It can really be a strong visual. Consider letters as three-dimensional objects to create visual and dramatic impact. To unify the page, repeat the colors from the logo in your. Another idea for business cards and postcards is to use the back side so it is not wasted. As you will learn in your design classes, do not start the design on the computer. Begin with a series of sketches to explore various layouts and design ideas. It will save time. Often simple images have great power. Here we see a center line orientation of the image and type, drawing the viewer's eye downward through the type. A page layout system includes drafting a grid designed to the exact proportion of the elements being used in it and developing a consistent place and size for page numbers, headlines, subheads, captions. We have covered this in previous lectures. Often, a high number of columns makes for an interesting and active layout. However, be careful that you use the appropriate columns for the page size. This is an overt grid, meaning that the grid lines show. Occasionally, this is appropriate for the design. In our last design tip, we see a strong example of a 6-column grid. This concludes our lecture. This week, we briefly covered how to import images into InDesign and some tips and rules of good layout and design. This lecture will continue in Week 7.